Welcome to another star-studded edition of Props to Consider and Then Maybe Bet. I am your host, Lou Betya of the MMA Engine channel. If you're watching this, thank you for taking time out of your day. Please hit the like button. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. It does help us out a lot. Quick recap of last week. I did the show solo because the card was so dreadful. I gave away 4 props. We hit with AJ Fletcher round 1, round 2 sub at plus 420. The other 3, mythical Jim Miller, did not come through in round 2. The Jordan Wright fight, less said the better. And Lena Landsberg, flyer to win by split decision. No bueno. So that's where we're at. If you played all 4, you did get a little bit of profit. We're going to do better this week. And because I take it so seriously, I have not one, but 2 awesome guests this week. They co-host a pod. I'm going to say it wrong right now. A Proper Chat of UFC. I said it wrong. Please correct me on the name. I have Dave Millhouse and my guy Mason. Guys, welcome to the show. Please correct me on the name of the pod. That's close.
Thanks for having us.
Very close. Very close. Proper UFC Chat, little homage to old Connor, and some very decent $22-ish bottles of whiskey. So,
have you ever had it?
Yeah, it's not bad. It's Jameson, like in my opinion, but
I used to run
chilled.
a bar. There you go. I used to run a bar for a few months through a hilarious chain of events. I was put in charge of a bar. Horrible idea all around. But when I got put in charge of it was right when that came out, and the liquor stores had a restriction. You could only buy like 1 or 2 bottles at a time. But we were like, hey, we're on a bar, and I'm like, I'm going to run a promotion on it because I was always a big UFC fan. I'm like, maybe I can start getting fights here. So we bought 10 bottles. It was so easy to sell because people are just there. Like, it was a dive bar. So people there drink like Jack, Beam. And I'm like, look, man, I'm charging the same price. It's like a quarter more. I'm charging like $4 a shot. I'm like, just try it. I'm like, it's way better than Beam. And it's the same price. Like, it's a quarter, dude. Like, you're going to tip me a quarter. How about this? Don't tip me and just drink the goddamn shot. And so we ended up moving a lot of it. And like, then nobody wanted it ever again. It was really weird. Like, sold 10 bottles in like 2 weeks, and then like everybody's like, I'm like, all right, you want Red Stag? That's fine by me. But anyway, tell the viewers about the pod. You guys release early in the week too, which I love. Like obviously getting out there soon. Where'd you guys start? Like, how long have you guys been doing it? And like, what brought you two together to do this pod? Because I know you guys also work with, is it the Better Boys Network or?
Yeah, that's me. It's one of my buddies, Bet with the Boys. He's got his own sort of little service. He's gaining some more friends. He was always a really good baseball, basketball, football kind of guy, and he's expanding his brand and dipping his toe in a few more sports. But Dave and I go back probably like 1.5 years or so now. Joined his Slack trying to talk. Sorry about my camera. Trying to talk gambling and stocks and stuff of that nature. Just a good group of guys talking about a lot of good stuff. And we started just every week chatting UFC, and one thing led to another. We put a few things out here and there. We're like, screw it. Let's just do it every week. We're going to talk about them every week. Just about as easy as click a record button. And sure, whatever 40 people out there that like to listen to me talking to the void, I appreciate you.
Dave, what's your best sport to gamble on other than UFC?
CFL, Canadian Football League. I was kind of known for that on Twitter a few years ago. And I've had some hit or miss seasons, but that was kind of my thing. I was the go-to guy, I would say, a few years ago. A lot of large bettors were subscribing, and we were literally moving lines like crazy because I would post way too early. We're banging openers. There was a playoff game. My first time ever selling a play, which is kind of a funny story. But we took a team +3 when it opened, and we moved it to -3 within an hour.
Wow.
In a playoff game. That's the kind of respect I was getting in the market. We lost that game by about 40, and I lost my respect, I think. But it was like literally like insane. There was like 6 fumbles. It was the worst performance of all time, and I had like literally hundreds of people bought the play and just fucking smashed it because I was so automatic that year.
If you're gonna lose a bet, at least it wasn't a heartbreaker. If you're gonna lose, like you knew, like
it was not by the hook, bro. It was by a fucking half a season. It was so bad.
Oh,
yeah,
brother. What about you,
needed
Mason?
the 90-point teaser. Shit
Get a
happens in the
90-point
CFL
teaser,
blowouts happen, but that's how this got started. And I started a Slack channel because I was like, well, I'd rather just all of my plays than one or two here or there, right? Sure. And but yeah, UFC has probably been my most consistent. CFL goes pretty well. My brother and I started doing player props together, and that's going pretty well. Mostly that's like NHL, NBA, and college basketball, a little bit of NFL, but I guess so. I bet basically everything. Yeah, I dabble everywhere. I've been gambling on all sports forever, but I would say UFC and player props I think will be my most profitable going forward, and hopefully CFL stays hot, but that market is kind of tightening up a bit. It's not quite what it used to be.
Just lay off soccer. That's mine.
Oh yeah, no soccer.
Lay off soccer. That's my market. Hey man, it's Well, let's get into this. So you guys, I know that like Mason and I have talked. I know that he knows the kind of insanity that he's in for with me. Dave, you're about to learn a hard way.
I'm starting to feel it already. Don't worry, I got it.
Dave, let's start with you. What is your first prop on the board that you are going to consider and then maybe bet, and tell us why?
Okay, the first prop I'm going to consider and maybe bet. This is the smallest prop. I'm going to put them out there in order for you, like a professional.
There are no rules.
Well, then screw it. I'll go with my biggest one.
I'm
just kidding.
Whatever.
Peak and Gonzalez. I think this fight could go the distance, which is contrary to popular belief. It's about plus 375 is the best line I found to go the distance. And this is why. Basically, I feel like Gonzalez is a reasonable striker until he gasses. He has decent head movement, high guard, and I think he can outpoint Peak for, the first round and a half or so. So basically, if he can survive long enough to kind of also get Peak a little bit tired, then I think he might be able to eat Peak shots in the third round. And this could go the distance. It's kind of weird, but the one that everyone expects to for sure not go, it goes. Like,
what did we see last week? What did we see last week?
Do you remember Jimmy Crute's fight? Like, that could have ended 12 times. It didn't. Ngannou and Cyril Gane. Like, that's another classic. But at plus 375, I think that's way too high for two guys that are fairly durable. I don't think Gonzalez is like extremely durable, but I think his problem is his cardio lets him down. I don't think it's necessarily his chin. And yeah, Peak could easily starch him, but we're talking plus 375 here. Look, I feel like Gonzalez's high guard and head movement could get him out of Peak's, prime power zone. And as he starts fading, hopefully Peak fades with him. And at that point, yeah, I do think it can go the distance. Plus 375 is just a little bit too high.
Mason, you have a play on that fight or no?
No, I mean, I think I'm with every other square person and kind of lean Peak knockout. I just subscribe to the thought of if Jim Miller can crack you dead, Trevor Peak probably can too. But I love the idea of lining up on the other side of when people start saying something's a sure thing, getting plus 375 on the flip side is really, really nice.
Yeah, I haven't pulled the trigger on anything yet, but I just did a breakdown on one of my friend's channels, and I said that, Gonzalez he did hurt McKinney, he did hurt Miller, and he's fighting for his job here. I mean, this is his, if he gets knocked out here, he's done. So if he does take a more measured approach, if this thing gets out of the first round, it gets. I mean, that's not a bad look at plus 375. And look, we're getting one every week at least. The right fight last week, the night fight. We're getting weird results. So I think these are worth flyers, man. So, all right, Mason, you're up. What do you got for us?
Yeah. My first one, going off the first fight of the card, we got Jose Johnson versus Garrett Armfield. And while I do think Armfield's probably the more well-rounded fighter, Jose Johnson by KO at plus 475 seems pretty unfair in what is most likely most of his win condition. I can't believe they scheduled this fight for February. Feels like a real marketing miss by not getting Jose Johnson around Halloween. Because if you watch his tapes, his knockouts are fucking terrifying. He hurts people in a way that you just don't really see in cage fighting that often. And yeah, it's scary stuff. He throws with a lot of power. He's got like a 6-inch reach advantage. So I definitely see a world where he can crack the chin, and at 475, it's worth considering. And if you're considering it, maybe even going to bet on it, might as well do it in the first round where it's plus 1,000. Because I think the longer this goes, the more Garrett's going to be able to get his wrestling going and negate some of Jose's striking. So that power is going to come. I expect it to come early.
He does have some scary power. So I just want to add this. My feeling is that, so when you watch, you can't even watch it anymore on like Tape Index, but if you watched Jose Johnson's TWCS fight, he had 2, let's say, ladies of the night sitting in the crowd. And I need to know how many he has at cage side for this fight, because if he has none, then he's probably like plus 250. If he has like 4 of them, he should be like minus 300. So as an amateur capper, I feel like I need just all this information. But yeah,
being
I like
in Vegas, you gotta almost expect over 3.5 strippers.
I got connections, so I'll figure it out. Dave, do you have a bet on that fight at all? Because I also lean on the Jose side.
I do have a bet on the fight. It's not like a prop to consider, but I like Armfield. Okay. I think Jose gives up his back way too much. He's way too easy to take down. And I think Armfield's an above average wrestler and should probably land half his takedown attempts. So, but I do agree with Mason. Tons of value on that knockout prop and the round 1 prop. So there's a lot of ways this one can go. But gun to head, I like Armfield actually a fair amount. I thought he should be a bigger favorite.
I
but
can't
that's
get
not
past
what this show's about. That's kind of boring. So
I can't get past the tattoo. I'm sorry. Like I can't get past
what tattoo, dude? What did I miss in the film?
No, the A tattoo that Armfield has.
Oh, like, yeah. I mean, it's pretty low level tattooing and fighting, but I feel like if you're going to give up your back that much to a good grappler, then I can see why you're the dog, basically. And for as much as he does kind of have a stinky record, he does have extreme power. I'll give him that. Either that or he's just a variance machine. But I think there's a reason he has 7 losses with dynamite in his hands. You should have no losses at that level with those kind of hands. It's just because he gives up way too many takedowns.
Right. All right.
As bad as that tattoo is, we're going to see some worse haircuts too.
Oh,
we're going to see some worse haircuts
coming up, don't we?
I'm sure we'll get to that. So it wouldn't be a proper show that I run without a split decision prop. I did not see this number yet. I'm going to take a quick peek, but I will tell you the fight is Jasmine Jasudavicius against Gabby is my split decision special here. I'm going to guess if it's not up yet. Oh, it is. So let's see. It's probably going to be 350 is my guess. It is why am I not seeing it? 400 for a split decision for that fight. I don't have a real side here. I think it's pretty binary. I think Gabby's going to be stronger on the feet, even though she's making her debut. Jasudavicius is going to have the advantage in the takedowns. I don't think she can wrestle for 15 minutes. I don't think she's really equipped to do that. And we're seeing more and more with the judging. If you just get takedowns and do nothing with them, a person can steal the round by just landing 8 to 9 punches on the feet. So I think we're going to get some real greasy rounds. I think this goes decision more often than not. If there is finish equity, it's probably on the Gabby side. But I think it really is going to go the distance. And Jasudavicius just doesn't do a ton of damage, especially after the Natalia Silva fight. Maybe she's going to be a little more tentative, or maybe like way more willing to just get control. So give me this fight ends and split at plus 400. If you like a side, I mean, they're going to be, I'm looking it up right now. I didn't have this when I wrote this down like an hour ago. So
only plus 400 for a split?
Yeah, well, yeah, because it's usually baked into like the fight goes the distance line. I mean, if you're looking at like a heavyweight fight, it's going to be a little more, but plus 800 for Gabby, plus 900 for Jasudavicius.
Oh, okay, just
like, you're gonna, I'm gonna. Well, you bet. I bet both of those too, because then as soon as I see the split screen, look, man, I got tired of getting screwed by the judges. Now all I need to hear is the most beautiful words now are Sal Diamatas. I'm like, yep, I win. So don't care who wins. So it would not be a Lou show without at least one split. Is the only split decision I have, actually. But I do think there's going to be a lot of finishes on the card. But Dave, we will move on to you for your next prop to consider and then maybe bet.
All right. The next prop to consider and maybe bet is Alves round 1 plus 700. This dude is super athletic. He is thick AF. He's got nukes for hands. And I don't like Alves striking at all. He kind of lunges in. He leaves his chin exposed. No defense whatsoever. And he kind of strikes his way into clinch positions. So he's literally going to have to come in with his little hooks, chin exposed on a guy who can literally murder you. And catch you in a guillotine while you're shooting a double leg. I think it's a huge step up in competition for him, even though I understand why he's favored and he can totally, get 12 minutes of top time in this fight. I still think 700 is borderline ridiculous. And I've almost considered, I'm looking for props for the show and I'm like, fuck, 700, bro. Like, yeah, most of Alves's win condition is starching this dude early. Because he will start to wilt when he starts gassing out, and in a grappling heavy matchup, he probably will gas. So, yeah, plus 700, I could see him scoring a guillotine or just literally stiffing this dude. That's crazy.
Mason, do you think he has decision equity at all, Alves?
I mean, he's not fighting Drew Dober, so yeah, it probably could go deeper, but no, not really. Especially not if he gets grappled the whole way through,
Yeah, I'm with you guys in that, because I also like Alves. I don't typically one of my rules this year, as I'm trying to tweak, is I don't want to bet in the distance props against undefeated fighters, even if their regional tape is weak, because these are the fights that are killing me. We just saw Evan Elder. He's the reason for this. Preston Parsons had him in 13 minutes of arm triangles and couldn't get him out of there. You just don't know how some guys are going to respond. I'm willing to make an exception here because of the kind of fight that Alves is going to bring. He's not going to. So I like that as a prop. I'm leaning Alves. I don't have a bet on it yet. I don't but I think plus 700 for round 1, when how the guy fights, he did knock. He looked good against Ismagulov, until he didn't too. So
he put him down early, right?
Absolutely.
He hurts everyone in round 1. Every single person he fights. And now he's this is boys to men, baby. So he could really starch this kid. I really think he can. I don't know if he will, but 700 is way too much.
You're getting a good price for it. All right, Mason, you're up next. What do you got?
Well, won't go too far and just look on the other side of the tape for that fight, because I got Narullo by sub plus 480. Don't get me wrong. I think Alves's first round is easily the most live of where he's probably going to win. If Rafael wins this fight, I would not expect it to be anything other than a round 1 finish, honestly. I think that's where he would really be able to expose a 22-year-old kid just early and catch him and show him this is a man's game. But you don't get called the Tajikistan Eagle for nothing. We're going to just let this fight get out of the first round and let God's plan take over. And just smash, brother, smash. Get some wrestling going. Alves has not great cardio. I especially think if he's wrestling a good 7-8 minutes, he's going to get real tired. And late second round, somewhere in the third round, will be a lot more likely to give up his neck or something if he finds himself sitting on his back on the mat. So I think that's Narullo's. Can maybe grind out a decision. It would be tough. Versus someone so high level and more experienced. So I almost think he needs him to get tired and finish him and survive the first round, because Alves is going to be coming for blood for the first 5 minutes. That's for damn sure.
Before we go too far, could I just mention, what is it? Tajikistan Eagle?
Tajikistan Eagle? Yeah.
You don't get called that for nothing. Do you remember the Ukrainian Conor McGregor?
Well, that was self-imposed. This isn't coming from Narullo. Narullo, he started calling it when he was so young. He didn't know because he was wrestling at the age of 6 months. So
he looks good. I'm not hating on him at all. I'm higher on Alves than the market, so it's really hard for me to ignore him. I've had a lot of trouble not betting his money line. And then I think about it, how much decision equity does he really have? He can easily win a decision if he can stuff some takedowns, basically, and get up. But he's just kind of bad off his back, So I kind of definitely lead inside the distance for Alves if I'm going to bet him, but I could see him winning a decision by just stuffing enough takedowns and possibly not giving up too much damage when he does get taken down. But it just seems like an unlikely scenario. I don't mind that sub. I don't mind that dude Nurillo by decision either. But I think Alves plus 700 round one is probably the best way to play him.
It's going to be a fun fight, or it's going to be awful. Like,
Yeah.
there's not going to be any middle ground. But I'm going to move on to another fight that I think is going to be fun no matter what. And I'm sure you two are going to have an opinion on. Move on to Mike Malott and Johan Leoness here, who, by the way, if you ever played DFS, he has the worst score ever in a victory. Guy scored like 39 points. You get 30 to win. That just shows you how little. I think it was 23 strikes he landed in that fight against Weeks. So I know a lot of people are on the under 1.5 this week. I would caution you that both Lioness's fights in the UFC have gone over 1.5, even if the Gabe Green one barely did. I would just caution it is not a lock. People rushing in the window on that under 1.5. That being said, I am on the Malott side here, and I think Malott, they train together. So these guys have trained together, which just adds another layer to this fight. And Malott is going to know he has to mind his P's and Q's on the feet. He's got to get the fuck out of range. He cannot let Leoness beat him. I think we see Malott go to the grappling. And I think we know that Leoness's cardio is not great. I know Malott's never won out of the first round before. I like Malott's submission at plus 350, but I also have a poke on the round 2 submission at plus 1100, which I know seems like a crazy thing, but we have seen Leoness, the one time he was finished in the second round, and he was going for takedowns. He was initiating takedowns against Gabe Green. He didn't do much with him. If he's crazy enough to initiate takedowns here, I don't think he's going to like what happens. And as much as Malott has power, I know people say he's hittable because Mickey Gall hit him. He didn't respect Mickey Gall's power. As soon as he got hit, he's like, I had enough of this shit. He respects Leoness's power. Like, he's not trying to take a couple and then be like, all right, I'm ready. So I think Malott gets to the ground, wears him out, gets the round 2 sub. That's where I'm at. I'm happy to hear dissenters here. I know what Leoness's round 1 price is, so I'm not talking anybody off that if that's where you're at. But where are you guys on that fight particularly?
Yeah, I agree. I think the over 1.5 is probably the sneaky look where everyone's might be lining up on the other end. They know each other. They're both damn tough too. So I would be shocked if it was super fast. I'm a little surprised this fight was put together. I don't understand why the UFC's hate, for a lack of a real good stable of Canadian fighters, to take an 8-1-1 and 9-1 Canadian head-to-head in Vegas.
Well, I got to make sure a Canadian wins.
That's fair.
It's really for my buddy Gordo. My buddy Gordo, who's Canadian, he just can't keep going back to, Jillian Robertson won. They gotta give Canada a win. And the joke, of course, that this is going to end in a draw. I'd be like, sorry, buddy. Still no wins.
At least no Canada losses, though, either.
Yeah. I'm also Canadian.
Do you guys know Gordo?
Yeah, I know Gordo. I know who he is. I shouldn't say I know him, but
I just want to say a quick thing about we joke about this fight ending in a draw as a meme to him. But in our NFL show this year, my partner Wiz Betts and I had a bet on the Minnesota-Washington game. I had Washington plus 3.5. He had Mini minus 3.5. And we said, if it's 3, if it lands on a push, then Gordo has to do the shoey. Minnesota won in the last second field goal, won by 3. We're like, dude, the only way you could have lost was like this. And somehow you lost. So I'm saying this to Gordo privately, and I'm like, dude, this has happened to you. You're the 1% outcome. He's like, come on, dude. Don't do this to me, man. I'm like,
the draw's good, man. The draw's good. It keeps them both alive.
We're gonna get 3 fouls. It'll be Handbag-erific. And it's going to end 27-27, and Canada will not get a victory. Sorry, Dave.
I like Malott in this fight. I think he's just a smoother striker. I think Leoness, he telegraphs too much. The dude literally loads up his jab. You can tell he kind of bends his knee before he strikes. And I noticed that when DC mentioned it in the commentary, and it's yeah, you're right. Literally telegraphs even his jabs. So for someone like Mike has been training with him, obviously he's going to have his timing I think, pretty well down pretty early in this fight and should just be able to outpoint him. I also like the over 1.5. Look, recency bias steers the market way too much in MMA, and I think that's probably why I do pretty well in it. I don't mind being the guy to, reject the recency bias and avoid it and take the good lines. But I don't understand why this fight's 1.5. It should be a 2.5. I know they have finishes, yada yada. And
it's minus 180 on a lot of books, which is reasonable. The under 2.5. So I think that's a reasonable number. If you want.
Yeah, I think this is another one that could go the distance, or sometime in the second round. I don't think this will be a first round finish. I think they'll feel each other out, respect each other a bit, and I don't really have much to say on this fight anyway. But I like Malo, the Malo side.
Oh, is that how it's pronounced in Canada? Is it Malo?
The en français, I believe. I only said it because Mason did. I call him Mallet. I don't start speaking other languages just because they're from other places, But
I have no idea. So if
I
nailed it, cool. It was not on purpose.
Yeah.
All right, Dave, you're up. What do you got?
All right, this is actually one that I think I'm going to bet because we're talking about props to consider and then maybe bet. And I'm like, how is this a real life price? This is not the most likely scenario for the fight, but like we're really getting close to most likely. And we're talking plus 1,100 on Tatiana Suarez, round 2 submission. Montana's bigger. She's a good grappler. Suarez might have a touch of ring rust after like 3 years off. I think Montana De La Rosa is fairly durable. Like, yeah, maybe she gets absolutely smoked in round 1, but I don't really see that. And the odds are suggesting this goes the distance, which I don't know, man. Like, I don't think we're talking like minus 130 by decision for Tatiana and like plus 160 inside the distance. Like, I think that's off. I do. I think she's got like it's almost like 50-50 for the Tatiana side, like on how she wins the fight. So 1,100 for a round 2 sub. Like, I feel like De La Rosa is going to take a little bit of a beating before it happens, especially with her, Tatiana being off for so long. I don't know. Plus 1,100 for round 2 seems ridiculous. And having said that, by the time it gets to round 3, it's like, okay, then we know De La Rosa can hang. So it's like, I don't even like the round 3 option. Round 1, I feel like there's a little bit of ring rust, possibly, and size advantage and durability. Round 2 feels like the most likely scenario of Tatiana's finishing this fight. 1,100? I mean, give me a break, dude. I'm betting that. Fuck it. I'm betting that.
I know you did not watch the show I just did, but I gave out that exact same prop for that
Good,
fight.
let's hit it.
I love it, dude. It's just like the Jailton Almeida fight where like everybody's on round 1, but like you look at the round 2 equity and you're like, gee, like it goes from like minus 180 round 1 to like plus 1,000. You're like, yeah, I'll take the shot, man. So Mason just does not like this bet.
I like the bet that Almeida was a bad memory because Dave and I had under 1.5 and missed it by that much.
20-something seconds for 5 units. It hurt. I'm still in the hole from that, actually. That and Glover that night killed me. It's the only losing event I've had. I'm still a little bit under positive on the year from it.
I'm positive on the year, but I've had a 3-card losing streak. I had like a big first 2 weeks, and then it's like just a slow
just one losing card for me. But I had max bets on Glover, max bet on the Almeida under, quite a bit of units on Gregory Rodriguez. Like, I could just puke thinking about UFC Brazil, bro. I even put money on Shogun. Oh, bro.
All right, let's move on. Let's move on to the next one that Mason has. What do you got for us, bud?
I got your get out of UFC Brazil ticket right here with Charles Johnson. I think you can look at this fight. You can check a lot of props and consider them on this fight, and maybe even bet a few of them, because I think Charles Johnson submission at plus 575 is pretty nice.
Oof.
I think Charles Johnson to win in round 3 at plus 800 is pretty nice. I think Charles Johnson to submit Ode Osborne in round 3 at plus 2,000 It's pretty nice.
Dang, dude. Well, that's like I had round 3 KO. I'm just gonna cross that one off. It doesn't pay as much. I'm gonna cross that one off the list. Wow, sub. Now is it because of Ode's cardio? Like, do you think Johnson's like proactively gonna like go to the grappling in this, or like what's the reasoning behind it?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think Ode's cardio is going to start leaving him about halfway through the second round. I have absolutely zero reason to doubt Charles Johnson's gas tank. If you watch back a lot of his earlier pro fights and some of his like amateur regional stuff, Charles was tapping dudes out. He was really getting his wrestling going. In the UFC, he's just fought 3 primary grapplers in a row, so he didn't have any chance to show it. And I think him and Ode are going to go tit for tat early. Charles is going to be a little bit better with his speed, volume, and accuracy. Ode will have a little bit more power. And then as it goes and Ode gets tired, a close fight needing to separate the gap, he will be able to be smart enough to swap that game plan up a little bit. I bet we see him shooting takedowns in the second round, halfway through, coming out the third round to start it off. And yeah, I think a tired Ode is definitely live to give up a submission to a guy who's knows what he's doing on the ground, and we haven't got to see it at the UFC level yet, so no one's expecting it.
That is some balls. I'm here for it, man. Well, I'll take that one off the board for me. All right. God, I can't believe I'm going to say this one, but I'm going to do it because I'm committed to running a nonsensical pace on this show. I'm going to take, and this one's only plus 500, but
what? Come on, man.
I know, but but it's Dontel Mays round 2, round 3 KO. And like, yeah. I already feel sick bringing it up, but like everybody's I know everybody's on Sakai this week, but the thing is I feel like everybody's on Sakai because they're like, well, Mays is a step down. It's like, great. Here's my counter argument. Sakai's been knocked out in his last 4 fights. Like, I can't get to the window on him no matter what. Like, and at least with Mays, as crappy as he can be, and as much as like I'm still sore about the Hamby fight, he has a clear path to victory here, and that's with the grappling. And he's a proactive grappler. If this is a 15-minute striking fight, I don't like his odds. But Mays is a guy who he likes to get you against the cage. He likes to be physical. He likes to go for takedowns. He's not the greatest wrestler, but he's going to have an advantage here. And whereas I don't think he's Spivak in terms of the grappling, Sakai really didn't even he got tired of getting up, man. Like, he looked like he's like, dude, just get me out of it. Like, I'm done. Like, his face was done. And then he just stopped defending. So could Mays wear him out here? Yes. The round 2, round 3 KO is plus 500. I know people are playing this sub prop. Just stop it. Okay. Just goddamn stop it. I had his round 3 sub against Hamby because Betway completely mispriced it. It was like plus 12,000. I'm like, fuck, I'll throw five fucking bucks on that, dude. Like $5. I make that in a week. It's nothing to me. So I'm like, it's fine. I'll just throw it on that. And then they get to round 3 and he's death gassed. And I'm like, he's got him right where he wants him. Like, here we go. And 10 seconds later, he's dead. I'm like, fuck. I'm telling my buddy, I'm like, the important thing is we made it to round 3. And it looked like we had a chance because we never had a chance. I'm like, do you want your $2.50 back? Like, what do you want me to tell you, dude? Like, what do you want? Like, you want buyer's remorse on a 120-1 prop? So there's a narrative side of me that's like, I should just keep betting his round 3 sub until it hits. But I can't trust him to even go for a submission unless the submission is, and this is one thing I don't really want to say on the show, what he did to Josh Parisian's, let's say skull. Ooh. And a word that rhymes with muck. I don't really want to say it for
I remember the highlight.
For the children out there that clearly are watching the show, for the children that gamble on the UFC that are watching the show without parental supervision. I don't want to say the phrase, but man, dude, if Mays does that, I'd tap immediately. If Mays is doing that to me, I'm like, get me. It's I don't know if you ever watched professional wrestling, but that Rikishi move when he just dude, I tap. Get off me. Just get off me and I tap, quit. So Look, it's gross to even want to bet this fight. But everybody is on Sakai this week, man. And it's like,
I like Mays, man.
I mean, I don't even want to bet.
Last time everybody on a
fight,
shitty heavyweight
like,
worked out. Like, never works out, man. Everyone thinks Sakai is good. Come on.
Look, I don't think either one's good, but I'm never putting my money on a dude who's been knocked out in his last. Like, are you going to go bet Sam Alvey? Oh, that's right. There are people that were betting Sam Alvey every one of his fights. They're like, well, he's due. I'm like, keeps getting knocked the fuck out. Like, what do you mean? Like, why are you betting him? I'm like, yeah, but he's plus 870. He's plus 800. It's like, dude, he's getting knocked out every fight. Like, how do you back him? Like, you don't think Sakai's walking this cage like, fuck, I'm gonna get knocked out? Like, I mean, I don't know.
Quick question for you. Quick question.
Go ahead.
You're telling me this Dontel Mays plus 800 submission that I have written down here is not the move?
I'd love to see it happen because I feel like he owes us one, but like, he's got to attempt one. Like against Parisian, when he got him in he got him in like a crucifix, and I'm like, oh shit, he's gonna go for a sub. And then he's like, nope. And just starts elbowing him in the face. I mean, like, there's a case to be made that the submission will be there. Because, like, the way Sakai just, like, tries to get up, he just turtles.
He's awful.
He gets on all fours and tries to stand up. It's going to be there. Do you trust Mays to, like, attempt it? Like, that's what it comes down to. Do you trust him to, like, so, I don't know, man. I feel
trust
gross.
Is the right word.
Like, I'm
taking Mays
it's
straight.
800. Like, it's, yeah, I like Mays
trust
too.
Him.
Definitely hard lean on Mays.
All right.
He's long and market's low on him after his last outing. Sakai, look, if he didn't knock out Tybura, he would be like cut from the UFC. But that catapulted him into tough competition. And I try to judge guys on what they do in the octagon, not, their result. He looks like shit in every fight. He's never dangerous. He hits like pillows, has no grappling. He's hittable. What more do you want? You got a massive man in Dontel Mays, and he's not going to be grapple fucked in this fight. That's what happened with Hamdi. So it's like, forget Hamdi. Everyone loved Mays in that fight. Why did you love Mays in that fight?
I know. And I had an Egyptian roommate, like, after I graduated college, so, like, I should have known. Like, I should have contacted him and been like, hey, man, remember we lived together 20 years ago? Like, do you know this guy? And he'd been like, fuck you. What? Like, what do you? And I'd be like, all right, sorry. I forgot.
I didn't know they had that many steroids in Egypt because Hamdi was on all of them.
It's just one. No, it's just one steroid, but he, like, had 100%.
He took all
like a multi-steroid, like a multivitamin. You just take
all right.
them all.
So you guys had some variations on mine, but I only have one left now. But if the show's not. Well, let's get
and
to
then the handbags, of course.
I mean, dude, if you want my job, it's here. Like, I'm happy to name a successor. I thought it was going to be Bert MMA because, Bert's the successor for our company at some point, but we haven't seen Bert in weeks. Like, he hasn't been on YouTube. So, like, Bert, if you're watching, contact your Uncle Lou. He's worried. Like, love you, bud. But, yeah, I need a spiritual successor. I have to train somebody in my ways. And look, I'm wearing a hat. I don't have much more hair than you. So we good. Like,
I'm bald AF, bro.
Dad?
All right, what do you got now? What's the last one you have before baggage? So Handbag Yahtzee on the show.
I got Pekin Gonzalez again. We're going back to that fight, but I got it going to a draw at plus 8,000. God.
Now, do you see a 10-8 here, or
yes,
is this tying into another? Okay.
No, I could see a 10-8 for Peak late, and I think Gonzalez can outpoint him for 2 rounds. So
that is the spirit of the show, that you're picking a draw. I goddamn love it.
Yeah, like, I'm not saying I love it, but I think Peak's pretty live for a 10-8 if Gonzalez cannot get knocked out, which, is asking a lot. But I do think early on Gonzalez is live to win the points. So maybe by round 3, Peak could 10-8 him. Like, he's going to fade hard. He always does. So he gets dropped and somehow survives a ground and pound. And next thing you know, we have a majority draw.
Holy balls. That's so ballsy on this fight. The draw should not be plus 5,000 for this fight.
I got 8,000 on one book.
8,000? Oh, I heard 5 also.
8,000, bro.
Oh, you got Canadian book. Is it a book where you can bet 365 days of the year? Is it that book?
Let me bring it up. I was looking today and I couldn't believe there was an 8,000 hanging on this.
Because I know another Canadian in the space, Paul Shaughnessy, who always tells me, I don't know if
it's Bet365 has plus 8,000.
He's like, it's a book where you can bet 365 days of the year. I'm like, I think I know that one.
That's the one. Yeah. That's the one.
Well, yeah, Mason, you're probably not topping this, are you? I'm not topping this.
No,
dude. I mean, how am I the one with the lowest odds props on this show? It's the first time this has ever happened where I'm the lowest odds out of the guests. This is crazy.
Yeah, if you drop a 0 off that, you got mine because it's only I thought I was going to be coming in hot after Charles Johnson's plus 2,000 with another plus 800, but lo and behold, I'm throwing peanuts. But I got Jordan Leavitt round 2 submission plus 800. I definitely think Jordan by submission is how this fight's going to go. I'm seeing I get the like binary black and white striker grappler idea and seeing some love for Victor Martinez. I don't get it. I don't think Victor's very good. I think Jordan's going to tie him up in pretzels, but I also think he's going to spend about 3.5 minutes throwing that weird, lazy, like 30% front kick and choose some time off the clock, take him down in the second round and put him in like maybe not a twister, but I bet it's almost like a meme submission. If they would have gave me odds on that, I would have taken that. Will submission be funny? Yes, plus 2,000.
BetMGM offers like the actual hold. So like I always laugh because you like click on a fight and it'll be like this guy by Goga Plata, and like they're promoting it. Like that's the promoted thing on the top. I'm like, and it's always like it's like Francis Ngannou by Calf Slicer, like plus 10,000. I'm like, okay, because like there's no other like they'll have like the main event props, like nothing else, and I'm like, okay, yeah, perfect. This is why didn't I think of that? Like, thanks for like it's obviously automated, but like, come on, guys, like, what are you doing?
No, give me Chicken Wing then. Jordan Leavitt by Chicken Wing.
As my good friend and fellow content creator Dan Levy says, friends do not let friends bet Jordan Leavitt. So I'm probably passing on that fight altogether because I don't like, I don't like this Martinez's inactivity, dude. He like fights. Yeah. It's weird, but all right. Well, it's a good thing that I'm ending on this because we have not spoken about the main event yet. So I'd like to address the main event now. It's one of these weird fights where like I'm gonna have a bet on Krylov. I'm in the distance. I'm gonna have the time props here. But I cannot ignore on FanDuel Ryan Spann round 1, round 2 sub at plus 800. I can't ignore this because I don't think this fight goes past the second round. Krylov's been subbed 6 times, I believe, and Spann has a pretty good ground game. I don't love his fight IQ. I also don't think he fights hard for my money compared to Krylov. Like I've lost money on Spann before. The Anthony Smith fight is still like, there's some fights of his that like I have PTSD from, but I can't ignore that like this fight's going to probably go to the ground at some point relatively soon in the first. Krylov's not going to want to stand there and trade with him. Like he's going to probably initiate the grappling. And if he does, we've seen him make mistakes. He lost to the greatest fighter of all time, Paul Craig, by making a mistake. Paul Craig, of course, if you've never heard me say this, he's 8-2 in fights he's lost. Just like an incredibly good record, like a great record, how many wins he gets in fights he's lost. But I can't ignore that Spann is so live for this that plus 800 odds and you get 10 minutes. You get both rounds combined for plus 800. Like, so I already have a track bet on, not track bet. I already have a bet in on this. I don't do my track. I'm so lazy with this. I do all this stuff on like Friday, but like I already have this bet in because I could not believe the number on it. So if you guys want to walk us through what your bets are on the main event before we get to the handbags, I'd love to hear it. I know Dave has like a best bet he wants to give away too. So
yeah, I'll let him round up after me because I don't have like a best or anything like that for the whole thing. Most of my action's honestly going to be on the prelim card, just kind of the way it panned out this week. But I agree with you. I kind of like Krylov inside the distance. I think I'm just going to nut up and lay the juice for under 2.5 in this fight. But that round 1, round 2 for Spann is great. He has a really nasty guillotine. And I think Krylov will be shooting some takedowns. There's a world where he can be lazy, stick his neck out, even kind of be a little tired. Like if this pace is nutty right off the bat, I could see Spann snatching that neck up for plus 800 for sure within 10 minutes.
I mean, for 2 rounds on that prop, like
I like it too.
Yeah.
That's good. It's a good number.
Yeah.
I don't know how to read Spann. I keep saying it. I was against him last fight.
None of us did.
His interview, the fucking, oh, this is the first time I've decided to like train and fight camp for my fight. What the hell was that? I have no idea what to expect from him, what to believe in him. If he's literally just now training for the first time ever, well then, yeah, I think that round 1, round 2 sub should be like plus 200, not plus 800. So it's a good look.
I mean, even if you want 1, 2, and 3, it's plus 650.
That's super reasonable. Like they're basically saying he's not submitting Krylov, but he could. Like this could be a ground and pound, like club and sub kind of thing that happens. He's got a lot of power. I don't think you're going to want to keep taking that shit in the face.
This is the funny thing with playing like the prop game. It's funny because, like I said, I really think like Krylov wins. Like I like him here. He's done well for me financially, betting on him, betting against him. But sometimes, like, you know, I call this like the like this I've won with like Guido Canetti round 1 KO because I'm old and I like sympathize maybe. But like if that's his win condition, I take it. And then I've lost with like who's the guy that like Victor Jonathan Martinez fought the dude.
Oh yeah.
Was it Morale? I forget who he fought, but I was like, I took this KO like plus 900. I'm like, he's either gonna knock out, like, or he's gonna get knocked out, or he's gonna leg kick him for 15 minutes. And he ended up getting leg kicked 15 minutes. And I'm like, all right, but I take that bet all day of the week. Like I'll take it any day because that's his win condition. So I feel like people are leaning way too heavy on this Spann KO. Just me.
Yeah, totally.
And smarter people than me agree, which makes me happy. So, all right, take us home, Dave, and tell us your best bet also. And then we're going to get into the real reason everybody's watching this show.
Okay, well, I don't necessarily have a best bet, but I think Andre Muniz is going to absolutely run the table here. Like, I just, I'm very low on Brendan Allen. He's got the tools, but he just never puts it together. His fight IQ sucks, and his takedown defense is horrendous. 50% takedown D against a guy like Muniz, who I think keeps position very well and is extremely dangerous in that position, is a recipe for just an absolute disaster. And I feel like Muniz has improved his striking recently. So it's like on the feet, I think maybe Andre might even be cleaner. We'll find out for sure. He might be behind there, but I don't think he'll have any trouble taking it down, keeping position, and threatening the entire time he's on the ground. So I find it very hard to believe that Brendan Allen's going to win 2 of the 3 rounds. And it's hard to knock people out off your back, and it's really hard to submit a wizard. So at minus 220 or whatever, I think Muniz should be more like 350, honestly.
What do you have any play on that, Mason, or no?
No, I'm just in agreement. I'm a Brandon Allen fan. I'm nowhere near as low on him as some people are. Like some people just like want to scream bum. He's 26. I think here in the next few years, we're going to see him be a lot more put together, and that he had an almost Edmund Shabazian-esque beginning where it was just too much too soon. But his takedown defense sucks. He hasn't improved at that yet. He's been focusing on his striking because he was a BJJ black belt originally. And sure, he has a black belt, and that's good and all, but Andre Muniz is a different one. He submitted Jacare. Like, I don't really know what else to say.
I think I don't have a play on this yet, but I was just talking about if you like Allen, if you're on the Allen side, I'd live bet him after 1 because like I don't trust his fight IQ tremendously, but I think if Muniz could easily sub in the first, then you don't lose a penny if you're on the Allen side. And you're also going to get like plus 450 or plus 500 on him live. So like to me, I don't see a reason to bet Allen pre-fight. People are looking at this number like it's a gift. They know what they're doing. To me, it's like, because it looks wide at first glance. And then you're like, also, I had Malkoon. I had Malkoon decision at plus 850. So like,
me too, brother.
So I kind of hate Allen solely for like, it's not his fault they gave him the decision, but like I kind of hate him because that was the only, I think that was a prop like on that Sunday, like before I was like, this one's mispriced because that's the only way Malkoun wins. So I hit it, and then I'm like, let me know when the split decision prop comes out. And I'm like, and that was like plus 16. I was like, oh my God. I'm like, and that way that fight played out, I'm like, this could not be going better. And then until the judges started speaking, and I was like, God.
They all had wagers on Allen. That's what
I was local man shakes fifth for like the next 20 minutes. Like, you son of a bitch.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's get to the goods. Mason, I'm gonna start with you. Dave just gave his pick. For anybody watching for the first time, A, shame on you. You should be watching the show every week, but that's fine. We want new people. But B, this is for a point deduction. Unlike what Dave Millhouse thought it was, which I'm not going to repeat on the show. I'm just going to say what he thought it was is way off from what it actually is. It's not even the same sport. It's not the same country. It's not even. He was so far off. If you guys want to ask him, his contact information is in the description. I did tell you, you didn't know what to expect. Now you're getting it. It's just one of the funniest things I ever saw. I'm not going to repeat it on the show.
I really thought that's what a yam bag was.
He confused my translation from 2 weeks ago of yambagu to not. But anyway, it's a point deduction. Any point deduction. A ball shot. Eye poke. Hugging the ref. Whatever they deduct points for is what we're looking for here. It's a fun bet. They're always 20-1. And I love to say it on the show, except the one time where Greg Hardy fought Marcin Tybura, and it was plus 1,800, and I swear I moved the market because I had everybody betting that. I moved the market by 2 points, 200 points. Mason, what's your yam bag shot and why?
Yeah.
And you're going to have fun breaking it down.
For sure. Real fast, I just want to say thanks for having us on. This was an absolute blast, man. I haven't laughed this hard talking fights ever in my life. So appreciate the opportunity, and anytime you ever want to consider some props, I'll be here for you because this was great. But we're going right back to a fight we've already talked about with Charles Johnson, Ode Osborne. And you might be thinking that's a little too much action on one fight. You already have a 1 plus 2,000 prop. Do you really need a second plus 2,000 on the same fight? Absolutely you do. We have a southpaw versus switch stance striker. And you don't have to graduate college to know that scientifically that means you get kicked right in the nuts. Just happens. It's probably going to be Ode kicking Charles Johnson if you really want to get fancy with it. We've seen it before. Charles Johnson goes off in the corner on his knees. He gets one of those real good, like, shakes his cup going with the real grimace on his face. And, they're going to clip each other a couple times. Ode does some jumping, flying, weird spinning stuff. So probably maybe get a little eye scrape or poke early to get Keith Peterson a little upset. And then after he sees him get kicked in the nuts, he's
no nonsense.
I've had enough nonsense. I said it once. You get one. And hopefully they're not grabbing the fences because it's about a 5% all-time call rate for a point deduction on fence grabs. We really need an eye poke or a groin shot here.
I mean, you clearly studied at the Handbag Institute, which I will get to in a second. There is a science behind it. Dave, what do you got for your Handbag shot?
I feel like an absolute coward by going for a fence grab point deduction after that. But I think Pilecki and Deaton. This one could easily have one. There's going to be tons of grappling right by the cage. Both of them are going to want to press against the cage and look for takedowns, and that leaves plenty of opportunity to grab the cage. And recently, I feel like they've been deducting points for fence grabs more than eye pokes and nut shots. It's like you can boot a guy in the balls twice, but you touch that cage, I don't know.
It's like Philly. It's like Philly. If you murder somebody, they're like, "Hey, man!" But if you double park,
respect.
If you fucked, double park the street, your ass is in jail, dude.
Like, a goddamn jaywalk on my watch.
Philly don't put up with that, but like you murder a guy, it's like, guys,
well, it's expected.
But
double parking have some courtesy.
Calm down, right?
Yeah, so I think Selecki and Deaton is going to be like literally like 80% of the fight will be against the cage or on the ground. And I don't know. I just feel like one of them might accidentally, stick a hand out there, negate a takedown, and get the point deduction. So it was tough to find a good yam bagger here, but I like Mason's call on the southpaw versus switch stance. So I do feel like a coward, but I think Deaton's probably going to grab the fence at some point here, and or Selecki. If Selecki's beating him, to a pulp, sometimes the refs kind of do like almost like a courtesy point take, like we seen with Jimmy Crute. Jimmy was getting his fucking ass smashed.
We saw it with
that
Benoit Saint Denis.
Was like, okay, we'll save you here.
We saw it with the Benoit Saint Denis fight against Zaleski dos Santos. We're like,
yes,
he just got like a gift and a point. Of course, that ref has now been. We don't know where he is anymore. Somewhere.
Yeah, that guy is at 7-Eleven or something for sure.
I should mention that Selecki's last fight against De Silva, he did have a point. So De Silva had a point deducted in that fight. So,
I will also say, sorry, real fast, just that. Carl Dayton, I think. I'm pretty sure he's starting this fight with a hard warning due to his haircut. Like in the locker room, they're coming outside, and they already said, like, "Hey, cut the shit."
Yeah, it's awful, and like even Hulk Hogan's like, "Nice haircut, brother." So no offense to you, Mr. Millhouse, but it is very clear to me that Mason has studied at the Handbag Institute with its professors, Sir Wheezy and myself.
That's fair.
I am also on the O'Day Osborne, Charles Johnson Handbags, but you already said the reasons. Like southpaw versus switch is like a perfect thing. Also, I love it when one guy is a gas bag and one is not, because then weird things happen when a guy's tired. You see, it's not just cage grabs, but like I love always referencing Paulo Costa with this, where you've seen when he gets tired, he's like intentionally poking at dude's eyes, just like get a break. He's like, all right, dude, I need a couple minutes. Like, he's like, dude, no, like leave me alone. And we've seen that called. So I love it here. I was hoping that one of you guys was going to take the one of the women's fights, so I could have told you that it's called a clam bag shot in that case. However, well, we're at the Handbag Institute of the.
That doesn't sound Korean to me.
It's not.
I need to apply. I need to get into school.
Yeah, Dave, I'm just going to say it now. I don't really care. So Millhouse thought that a Handbag shot was involved naming a Korean fighter. He misinterpreted me being funny about what it meant. And he's like, there's no Korean fighters on this card. I'm like, what? Like, no, dude. And then like Mason's like, no, dude, it means like getting kicked in the balls, man. Like, and he's like, oh, you can say he's like, oh, I have one of those. He's like, I have that. He's like, oh, I have that picked out. And I'm like,
there's just no Koreans on the card.
I thought, is that Korean for getting a nut shot, or am I completely retarded?
No, see, now I don't know if you could tell, but I'm a professional. Okay, so like I'm a complete professional, and anytime a card comes up, so when the Road to UFC card came up, I'm like, I should probably know what Handbag is translated in Korean. So I went to Alta Vista, like everybody goes to, and I did the Alta Vista translate, and it said Yamabagu, and I'm like, okay, there you go. Like now I'm a professional. I've done my research. Some people watch hours of tape. I use a translator for 5 seconds. We're all going to the same, we're all watching the same fight. So, but so I'm with you on Johnson big time. Guys, I've had a blast. I hope you guys have too. Mason, you already said it, but I still love hearing it. Thank you guys so much. Please tell the people what you guys are doing when your pod usually comes out, what you're doing individually. Like, go pimp yourselves right now. Like, this is what I'm here for. Pimp yourself like Jose Johnson pimps his hose. Brady, if you're watching, don't edit that.
Go ahead, please.
So, I mean, personally, I don't got much going on. You can find me over on Twitter at MB the MMA Man. Our pod's already out for the week. We typically only kind of do the one at the start. Change our minds by the end of the week fairly often, but like I said, a lot of times the 30 folks that got tuning in are pretty busy by Friday afternoon, so they won't watch anyway. But yeah, just come give us a follow, give us a shout, small enough that I always answer everything, any DMs, any comments, stuff like that. So if you're feeling the need for some interaction, you can come find it this way. Looking forward to the fights this Saturday. Really glad to finally have something a little more fun after last week's. And yeah, I mean, this card should be great.
It better be more fun.
Yeah,
Mr. Canada, tell us where the people can find you.
Let me tell you where you can find me, brother. You can find me in Canada. On Twitter at Dave Milhouse. I got a website, propshop.cash. We have a free Slack channel you can join, and Mason posts his card in there, and we talk fights in there. And then there's a couple like paywall rooms if you wanted to subscribe to the Prop Shop or Dave Milhouse, you can do that there, but no big deal. There's the free rooms as well, like I said, where we talk our stuff, and there's the Macho Man glasses. And let me tell you, brother, yeah, I mean,
he's the cream of the crop.
That's it, baby. Yeah. So yeah, join the Slack channel for free. Come talk fights with me and Mace. We, all week we pick each other's brains, and we do our show early on, either Monday or Tuesday. And the YouTube is called Dave Milhouse. We just do that, and we figure it gives us a little bit of an edge to get some views. But maybe one time when we're big time in it like this, maybe we'll wait till Thursday. We'll see.
Maybe
but early thoughts mainly.
Big time with the Macho Man. Yeah.
Big time.
Cup of coffee in the big time.
Lou, thanks for having us. This was a lot of fun. It's kind of fun to not, it's not the most serious of bets because it's stuff we're just considering, but that actually made it a lot of fun.
I just want to win a piano like you own in the background. Well, that's all I'm trying to do.
I don't know how to play it, but my butler also plays the piano, so when he's done serving me, sometimes I get him to play some tunes.
Drive, James. Yes, I wish I had a butler. But anyway, let me take us out. Guys, if you're watching, thank you for hanging in here. We hope you gained some insight. We hope you had some laughs. Good luck on your bets. And I will see you next week on the show for the Jones Gone pay-per-view. And my guests are Patrick, Dick the Combat, and Cody, Blood Bunny Bets. I told them to dress up. I doubt either one's going to listen to me. They're both going to wear sleeveless shirts, and I'm going to hate it. So tune in. Thanks, guys. They're watching, and I will see you next week. Goodbye.
Peace, guys.
Cheers.